Hi, future me here. Just want to preface this a little bit. I just finished editing the raw footage for this video and it's a little rough. So I'm going to be jumping in throughout the video to kind of clarify what's going on and to hopefully help this be a little more enjoyable. I found that my very first clip that I recorded, I was actually reading Priory of the Orange Tree for Tome Topple. So I wasn't quite sure what I was doing the video for, and my very first video, I'm extremely tired. So my words are a little bit more slurred than they currently are. So I apologize that I started off the whole video by my tired self not even knowing if this is the video I was going to be doing. So just beware of that. Sorry.
Hello everyone. I don't know if this is turning into a Tome Topple video or just a orange tree vlog. It is Sunday night. I am tired, but I haven't done any reading whatsoever for Tome Topple. None. All weekend. So I'm feeling a little guilty about that, so I'm gonna start with this. I'm probably gonna read just like first, second chapter maybe tonight. My plan is to try and do part 1 in 2 to maybe 3 days, and then the other parts split them, either read a part in 1 day or in 2 days. So hopefully that'll mean that I will finish the book in approximately a week, maybe a little longer. But that is my goal, so we'll see what happens.
A week. I thought I'd read this in a week. Try like a month and a half. That's a little more accurate.
Okay, so 50 pages in, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's definitely doing world building and setting up characters in different places in the world, so that way you're getting a full picture of what's going on. I am starting to find myself gravitating towards certain characters, which is really cool. I'm liking everyone so far that I'm assuming I'm supposed to like. I've been intentionally going slow at this very beginning part, referencing the maps at the beginning, just to make sure that I'm understanding who's who and what their position is, where they're at in the world, so that way as I'm reading through the book, I'm not getting confused on who's who. I am getting a firm understanding right now. Considering that was only going to read a chapter or two, which is like 20 pages, and I got to 50 pages, shows that I am really interested in what's going on. All that I had ever heard about this book was that it deals with dragons coming back after 1,000 years. That's all I ever knew. Let me kind of give you a little rundown. We have 2 parts of the world. One is like the West, and the other is the East. The East seems to have, the author mentioned it in the beginning, that there are the worlds that are talked about in this book are inspired from real places, but they're not a faithful adaptation. So the East is definitely giving me like Chinese/Japanese vibes, in which dragons are highly revered and certain people are selected to be dragon riders every 50 years. And so we're following one character who is trying to become a dragon rider. And there are dragons that are living right now. So it's not like one day they were gone and one day they're back. Like, they've been steadily coming out, more present, but they're just becoming prepared for a time that they may need to fight again. And that character's name is Tane, who is a female, so I'm liking her. And then we're also following, I believe you pronounce her name Eid, and she is, I guess, from the Priory, which is in like the southernmost part of the West country. And she is currently on this little island of Anise, and she is like the maiden of the something. She's like a lady in waiting to the queen of Anise. So we're following her, and she's trying to protect the queen because there are people that are trying to kill the queen. There's a rumor that when the queen's bloodline ends, then the unspoken one will come back into power. So she's trying to protect the queen, make sure that that's not happening. So she's kind of doing some detective work underneath. And she really only has two close friends. One who is a lady in waiting with her, and then that friend's brother. The brother has mysteriously left the country, and we're not really sure why. We were just following a little section of his story. He goes by Loth, and he's apparently been sent by the Queen of Anice's spy master to go to the land of Yaskalin to kind of do undercover work and understand what's going on there, if there's going to be an uprising. It's kind of like a no man's zone. No one really knows what's going on there. Those are the three characters that we're following at the time. And it sounds like it's generally from every corner of the world, so that way we kind of know what's going on and have an overall picture. We really haven't followed Loth. Like I said, I've only read a few pages from his perspective, but I'm gaining a pretty good understanding of Tanae and Eid and really enjoying them. I'm really enjoying that they're both women, and I'm really enjoying that they are, from my understanding, they're not white. I'm really enjoying the different perspectives. And I know that was like a lot that I hashed out in like 6 minutes. But that's the first 50 pages. And like I said, I'm taking it slow so that way I can understand the world. And so that's the first 50 pages. I'll check in tomorrow because I'm definitely going to read this tomorrow. I'm curious to read more. So 50-page update. I'm at 97, page 97, and like she's still building a world. There was one scene that was kind of cool that I really liked where they did like a storytelling of a major legend that is believed in this world. But apparently there's different versions of the legend. In Anise, they believe one version of the story, and then down south, where Eid is from, they believe a different version of the story. So I really like that kind of realistic take on how legends are told over various countries and whatnot. We're getting to a point where everyone's kind of in their place. We've established who they are and why they're at where they're at, and we're starting to get going with the plot. So that's like literally just starting at the moment. I was kind of shocked that it's actually only 800 pages. This 800 pages. I mean, Brandon Sanderson's books that are 1,000 pages long or longer, I don't even think they're this thick. I mean, they're close, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know if it's like a more dense paper that it's written on, or if it's like the cover. No, not necessarily the cover. Maybe the pages are shorter. I'm not sure, but it's interesting that the book is only 800 pages long and it looks so freaking thick. But I am going to keep reading because I am curious, and I'll probably update you when I hit the 150 mark. We'll see what happens. It'll either be 150 or 200. So check back in. Hello, everyone. It is a new day. As you can tell, I got my hair done. So very excited about that. But anyway, I have reached the 200 page mark. I know I said I was going to do 150, but I think what happened was the same day that I reached 100, I also reached 150. It was kind of late, so I went to bed. And then yesterday when I was at the hair salon, I read a little bit more, but I only got to about 180 or so. And now I'm at 206. I can kind of understand why when people have been reading this book, they haven't really been saying about what's happening because there's just so much happening. But it's not too much. Like, I'm understanding everything that's going on, and it doesn't seem like an overwhelming amount of information. It's just like, kind of like watching a Game of Thrones episode where it's just, you got this plot, this plot, this plot, this plot, and there's stuff happening in each plot, but it's still easy to understand what's going on. It's like that. I had mentioned that the character Loth, who was sent to... See, I can't say the names because, like, I read them in my head, but, like, I'll look at it and I recognize it. But Loth was sent to Yaskalon to kind of see what was going on and kind of being a spy, even though he's not a trained spy. You know, they're just trying to get rid of him. So he's at the Capitol now, and that is starting to become very interesting. A little bit of a plot that I wasn't quite expecting. So we'll see what happens with that. But we've been following him a lot more than we were before. So I'm really enjoying that plot. And then we have Eid up in Nice. I actually, I have the book open so I can look at the map. Because when I look at the map, like, I know what all is going on. Eid is working her way to getting trust with the queen, and as she's doing that, she's kind of learning more and more about her, getting closer with her, while trying to protect her. She's still trying to figure out who's trying to kill the queen, and she has some suspicions, but she's not really sure. And they just saw that they call him a high western dragon. So I'm assuming it's like a smarter dragon than the Wervelings, because he can talk, I'm guessing is why. But he showed up and tried to kill the queen, but because of Eid, she has like a little bit of magical ability, but it relies on her kind of refueling from the orange tree in the Priory, which is the name of the book. So she's been away for a while, so she uses the last of her magic in order to protect the queen from burning. And so now the queen's like a little suspicious, like, well, the dragon said that the 1,000 years were almost up. Like, what do you mean by that? I thought if I bring an heir that we don't have to worry about the nameless one. So there's just that whole plot going on, which is really interesting. I'm also enjoying that, because the queen, Sibron, she's complex, because on one part of it, she seems like this kind of hardened exterior where she just kind of takes things at face value and is kind of shallow. And then we're just now starting to see that maybe there's a little bit more to her than what she puts off to people. And then in the East, we're following Nicholas and Tane. I don't know if I mentioned Nicholas or not, but he is an alchemist that was trying to make this potion to help Sibron live forever so that she wouldn't have to bear a child. But he kind of messed up and got exiled. So he's been in the East, and we've been following him, and his plot is kind of interwoven with what's going on in the West. And then Tane is going through the water trials in order to become a dragon rider. And at this point, she's gone through the water trials, and she's been doing overall pretty well, but she's not very confident in her abilities because she's a commoner, while some of the other people that are also training to be dragon riders, they kind of have it in their blood, like their ancestors were dragon riders. So there's like this perceived assumption that people who have it in their blood are more likely to become a dragon rider than just a commoner. So she just kind of overworks herself over and over and over, thinking she's never good enough. So that's been really interesting to see. I see some of myself in her. So I've been enjoying that as well. So I'm assuming she's going to become a dragon rider. I mean, like, she's got to be, right? But it's just really interesting to read her perspective as well. I know it might seem like I'm giving off spoilers, but I'm only like a fourth of the way through into the book, and I think this would have been helpful when I was trying to look into the book, because everyone just kind of get this broad general overview of it's about dragons, they come back and they're battling it out. Like, it's more detailed than that. It's more complex than that, and I'm really enjoying the characters. We're just starting to see the dragons kind of coming back, and apparently they have a little more power than what we thought, or what I thought, I should say. I'll do my best to not be spoilery about it from here on out, because I will be getting closer to like more the middle of the book or whatnot. But I'll just kind of give little updates as we go. So I'll see you either 250 or 300, probably 300. Just ended part 1, which is this side over here. It's 250 pages, and it's the longest part. I don't know if it's because I just haven't read fantasy in a while, or which I don't think is the case, but I am really enjoying this. I am really enjoying the idea that this is a standalone novel. I mean, you could make the argument that she could have actually turned this into a trilogy. Maybe part 1, instead of having the events go by relatively quickly, she could have spread them out and made it a complete book and turned it into a trilogy. But honestly, I really appreciate the fact that this is a standalone novel, that I can get this complete story in one book. I didn't feel like it was rushed too much. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I've taken my time in reading it, and I'm to a point where I'm familiar with the characters' names. I know their places. I know the references to different lands and different cities. And whenever I do forget, I do reference the maps, but I find myself doing that less and less, because I actually am getting a really good grasp of the world. I really like how she's still able to flesh out the culture of the worlds, the world in different countries. I can understand the different tensions between different countries, and I really enjoy that. I think she did a good job with it. I know I said like at the 100-page mark, it seems like, okay, we're establishing where everyone is at and starting with the plot. Well, now we're at the point where I believe the plot's been kind of shown, okay, well, this is the direction that we're going in. I do suspect that there's a couple of twists. I'm not going to say what they are, but I think I know one of them, just because there's been some subtle, you could argue maybe not so subtle hints about a couple characters. It's like, okay, well, this probably won't go the way that it's appearing it will go.
No, I did not see it coming. I predicted nothing. Onward.
I'm back. It's been a while. It's Friday, and I haven't really read my book at all this week. There was one night where I was kind of feeling it. So I read about 40 pages. I'm at 290. And I know normally I update like every 50, 100 pages, but there's 150 pages in this section. So I'm going to read the section, give a little update, and if I were to read more tonight, I'll update you. But we'll really just see how this goes, and I'll let you know. I finished the chapter. I mean, I kind of knew what was coming, but I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming, and oh my god. Okay. Okay. Okay, I see how it is. I see how it is. It's only not even halfway through the book. I see you, book. I see you. So I got to page 355, and I know that the part ends at page 400. I mean, I could push through, but I've been enjoying the book, so I don't want to like push myself and risk not enjoying the book, because I am really enjoying it. People are now basically falling off the path everywhere, every which way. Won't say where, but things are not going to plan for anyone. I do want to say there's this one sentence that I just really loved. I just loved it, so I wanted to share it with all of you. No woman should be made to fear that she was not enough. No woman should be made to fear that she was not enough. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow and read some more. But as of now, I'm almost halfway done.
The next few clips that you're about to see are from Thanksgiving to about a little bit after the end of the first week of December. It was a lot of time with family. The first part, we are driving to Indiana to spend time with my in-laws. And then the second half, which is the parade, it's also where there's some animals. You'll see in a minute. Those are all taking place at Magnolia Plantation, and that's me spending time with my parents. So enjoy this footage. This is what I was doing that took so long for me to get back to the book. Isn't it? What's going on over here?
It's called a territory issue.
Who's sleeping? Oh.
The goose runs the show here. Yeah. Will you? You're on your own.
Wait, I want to get out. But he's gonna try and get out.
And now, after you have enjoyed those funny videos, after the goose had trapped me inside of the petting zoo, I finally found my way onto a plane to go visit my family in Iowa for Christmas, which was kind of a surprise trip for me. So I finally found the time to read the book, and that's where things kind of kicked off. Back on track. I did it. I finally did it. I finished the book. That took me longer than I thought it would. But I don't think that had anything to do with the book itself. I think it was more of the timing with life. Life got in the way of me reading this. So let me just try to sum up my thoughts and feelings about the book now that I finished it. Again, it's going to be non-spoilery to the best of my ability of what I've already said, and let you know what I think. So we're just going to put it there. Whenever I have heard someone talk about this book, it always seems to be something around the lines of it's about dragons and wars and fighting, and like this, it happens like every 1,000 years, and it's this big on battle and everything. So I was expecting a lot of action. That was not an accurate description of this book. No. Basically, there was this evil guy, well, evil dragon, that came about 1,000 years ago, and there were people who were able to bind the dragon, but they didn't actually kill the dragon. So this nameless one, the dragon, is about to come back again, and the different characters that we're following are trying to figure out how to prevent that from happening. And that is what takes up most of the book. You do see the climax of the story being the battle, but it's not the majority of the book. The majority of the book is getting to know them as characters, getting to know the setting of where everything's taking place, knowing their cultures, and understanding what role each person has to play in this epic battle, this epic fight that's coming up, and how or if they're going to work together on it. I really loved how each of the characters were able to develop and you were able to get to know them. This is a really bad example, but it's the only thing I can think of to compare it to, and that's kind of like the Lord of the Rings within one book. You have the first part where you're just getting to know the characters. You're getting to know the setting, and you're trying to just understand what are the stakes. And then you have the second part of the book where things don't necessarily go according to plan, and things have to be improvised or adapted to, and some of them don't necessarily win out. Things go against them. And then you have the third act where it's building up to the battle, and everything is tossed in on what is actually going to happen. That's how I would compare this book. And you can definitely, there's I think like 5 parts in the book, and it definitely has that feel of it being 3 different books per se put into one. And I think it was smart to put them into one book, because if you were to divide each of the parts into their separate books, it would only be like maybe 250 pages long. It wouldn't be that long of a book. You could argue that maybe that would make it more attractive to some people who are intimidated by fantasy to have a trilogy where the books are only like 250, 300 pages long. Which, I mean, I guess you could, but I like the fact that it's just one book on its own and it's a standalone. It completely wraps up the story in and of itself. I thought the conclusion was good, but I think I would have wanted to change some things to make it a little more impactful. I'm not going to go any more into that because it's going to be really spoilery. But if I were going to make any changes about the book, it would be how it ended. I know one of the things that people were really excited about with this book is the romance relationships in it. The main ones that are focused on are the female-female relationship and the male-male relationship. The male-male one is more of something that's happened in the past. It's not current, but it is talked about. And I liked how they were done. They were written well, in my opinion. We have a character who is, from how I perceived it, that she's bi. So to me, the representation seemed good, but please correct me down below if you felt like the representation wasn't accurate. I'm definitely open to learning more, but through my eyes, it seemed like it was good rep. Like it had realistic expectations of it. Like it's not something that is put out there for everyone to see, but the people who are closest to those individuals accepted them for who they are and loved them nonetheless. So I thought that was an interesting part of the story. I liked how the characters did have their little flaws to them. You could definitely tell the unique characteristics of each character without it being stereotypical. I really liked everyone. And even though some of them, it was like, you know what, I really don't agree with you on that, but you know, I want you to succeed kind of thing. It was easy to read. I believe it was easy to follow. While dragons are a part of it, for sure, it's more like they're a side character rather than a main character, which is something that kind of led me off a little bit. I was expecting it to be mainly about the dragons, and it's like they're more of a on the side kind of thing. If you're a person who gets really overwhelmed by all the books that are in a fantasy series and you want to try fantasy and just see if you even like it without having to dedicate yourself to a series, this is a great book to pick up. I really enjoyed it, and I see myself reading it again in the future. It was a really nice way to be involved in a fantasy world without having my mind crunched on remembering who all the different characters are and all the complexities that some fantasy books have. It was just really nice to just enjoy the series as it was in one book. So overall, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I definitely think you should check it out. Just know that it's not all about the dragons. It's about the people. So if there are any other books that you want me to do a full vlog about, let me know down below. Otherwise, see ya.